Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching. Today, I continue to speak to those wellness leaders of mine who want to transition into consulting. And today, I want to talk about the fatal mistakes wellness leaders make when they want to transition into consulting and why these mistakes either make or break their consulting career. And in some situations, the damage that is done from failing in consulting actually makes these wellness leaders leave the industry they love so much because they reach this point where they have tried everything possible in employment and in entrepreneurship to be in an industry they love, but they simply haven't achieved the success they wanted. And they have seen themselves in the situation where they have no other choice but to leave the industry they love and go for an industry that seems less complicated, where they don't have to fight for the value, and that things just work smoother from their perspective. So, just rewinding slightly to think about wellness leaders when you get into the situation where, you know, we all reach this point where we can call it Rome. We are at this situation, this point of our careers where we are right now, Rome is not a place we want to be in. We no longer feel fulfilled. We no longer feel that we're making the impact we want to make. And we just generally feel tired, frustrated, and want to change where we are right now. And we think the solution is to go into consulting, to venture out on our own. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's important to actually look at how we got ourselves to this situation, to Rome, where we want to step into consulting. Because wanting to step into consulting is important, but equally important are the reasons we choose in order to step into consulting. So let me explain myself. So, when I see wellness leaders wanting to transition into consulting, so they've reached this point of Rome, they've actually got to this situation from different paths. And while I was preparing for today's session, I kind of whittled them down to three paths. Roughly, we all reach Rome from one of these three paths. The first path is we've kind of reached the industry's famous crystal glass ceiling. So we joined the industry, we worked our way through up the ranks. We've had the privilege and the opportunity to work with amazing brands. We've had good success stories under our belt. We have grown and taken great opportunities. And we've now reached this point where we see that from here, we're at the top of the mountain. We really can't grow any further. That we as wellness leaders don't have enough opportunities because all the senior wellness positions, regional spa director, VP of wellness, global well-being director, senior vice president, all those roles have been taken. And we know that once certain roles have been taken, it takes forever for the people who have occupied those roles to move on. So we see ourselves reaching this glass ceiling. this dead end. And we think consulting is the next step. Because from here, we're definitely not growing anywhere else. And if I want to show the world what impact, and if I want to make the impact I want to make, I have no space here. And consulting would be the response. The second path I see wellness leaders take to get to this point of Rome is that they've long outgrown their role. So you are done with juggling 9 to 10 jobs at once, putting out operational fires, dealing with therapists calling in sick, begging your director of finance for budget to just get loo roll or just the basic amenities to be Forbes standard compliant or any of the brand standards you follow. You're tired of explaining to your GM the value of wellness. You're tired of explaining your director of rooms or your director of sales why we cannot comp any more treatments. You reach this point where it's like, I'm done with all the daily grind. What I want to do is just work and focus on the strategy. Someone else can deal with the daily fires. I want to go and work on strategy. And you see that if you continue to be in this role, you simply will never, ever be free from operations. You'll always be roped in. And the third path I see wellness leaders take to get to this point of Rome is you've kind of reached your tether's end when it comes to jobs within the wellness industry. You've seen them all, and they all pretty much look the same. You have solid expertise, very good experience under your belt, strong positions, and you're acutely aware that you earn a very good salary, at least for the industry. You are in amazing packages. You've made this current role work for your lifestyle. So you worked so hard to get here. And yet you know you are meant for more because you've seen the same old story repeat itself. A different brand, but there comes a point where I reach where wellness does not go beyond that. It becomes just part of wherever the company, the hotel company, or whatever company wants to go with wellness. And you know that that's not going to change. But you are terrified to take the leap because you will feel the pinch. You know that your lifestyle, there's a very high probability that that will be affected. And that terrifies you. Either way, whatever path you take to get to this point of Rome, where it is, I can't be here anymore. You think the solution to get out of the situation is to go into consulting. And here's the truth. 90% of wellness consultants will fail in the first year. And here's why. 90% of businesses that start up fail in year one. And when you choose to become a consultant, you are choosing to become an entrepreneur, a business, and the same stats apply to you. Very rarely have I seen a consultant fail because of expertise. You already have the wellness experience. You know the wellness business inside out. You know what you're good at. You know what you bring to the table. That has never been the question. What ends up tripping us is that we forget we're going from this operator role, an employee of an organization looking after their business, selling their business for them, to being a business owner of your own business. So you go from selling someone else's business and product to selling you and your expertise and all the drama that goes along with selling that. And this is where consultants fail. And the reason they fail is because they think consulting is going to rescue them from all this drama they've been going through. That feeling of being frustrated, undervalued, tired, exhausted, scared, because you've reached the situation where this operations container can no longer hold you. You want more. And you think consulting is going to rescue you. But what it only ends up doing is that it amplifies all the drama and all your fears, all your insecurities, all those unhelpful feelings. It only amplifies that. And consultants, wellness leaders transitioning into consultants, only relive what they know. So those consultants who think, or those wellness leaders who transition into consultant who think that they're sick and tired of juggling 9 to 10 jobs, they end up being those jacks of all trades and master in none. It's surprising to see how many wellness leaders, when they transition into consulting, are like a child in a candy shop. When suddenly they start getting offers or they get people interested in their services and they say yes to everything. With one client, they're creating business strategy. For another client, they're writing a profit and loss. For another one, they're writing the SOPs. They end up reliving the juggling of 9 to 10 jobs. They spread themselves so thin that it's completely unrealistic for them to sustain that level of work and make up for the income that they were earning as a full-time job as a consultant. And then they crash and burn. Or you'll see consultants who feel that clients don't understand them, that they don't get wellness. And guess what? When they were wellness leaders, they thought that the GM or the owners didn't get wellness. So what they do is they recreate that very feeling of frustration, of being undervalued, of people not caring about wellness, of complete disempowerment. They relive that situation, but as consultants, because they don't know any better. And those consultants or those wellness leaders, before they transition into consulting, who are petrified to lose their job or their stable income, they end up charging such high fees that they only get a few clients. And with those few clients, they cannot sustain themselves. So consulting is not the problem here. The problem here is when it is used to fix a problem it was never designed to fix. Consulting is not designed to fix all your frustrations with the industry and the system of how wellness is set up, either in hotels or in other companies. What consulting does is that it helps you solve your clients' problems or help them build their wellness offerings. That is when consulting works. And consultants don't fail in year one because the industry is not lucrative enough. We know that wellness is worth over $7 trillion. It is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. There has never, ever been a better time to be a consultant than now. Consulting is lucrative. And you already have all the knowledge you need to serve the clients where they are, who are out there for you. Where you fail is in how you transition from being that wellness leader to being a consultant, to being an operator managing several different jobs and roles, to being an entrepreneur who's very clear about what offer they have, what problem they solve, and for who. And wellness expertise will not make you better at solving client problems. What makes you better is building the skills that are required to be successful as an entrepreneur. That is what makes you successful in consulting. That is what makes you successful in business. That is what helps you replace your income and exceed it in consulting. So, consulting does work. And it can be a complete game changer. But only if you transition into it by building the right skills, not by looking at consulting to fix all your frustrations with the industries, to save you, to rescue you from your frustrations with day-to-day operations. So this week, I wanted to do record a two-part series. So this is the first of a two-part series where I wanted to highlight the mistakes I see wellness leaders make when they transition into consulting and how these mistakes can either make or break your career as a consultant. And consulting is not the problem if you fail at consulting. The problem is how you're using it. What problem are you trying to fix? Is it your frustrations with the industry? Or are you trying to solve your client's problem with the offer only you can deliver? And next week, part 2 of this two-part series, I want to walk you through what actually does work when it comes to consulting, how you successfully transition from wellness leader with an operations mindset to a wellness consultant with an entrepreneur's mindset, and how that looks so different from using consulting as an escape mechanism, something that's going to rescue you from this current Rome that you're in. And on that inspiring note, I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care now.